Everybody's rolling. Apparently, I wasn't looking at my screen. I was actually checking to see what was coming up next. So today is day 9 of the Soulful journey, and we're talking about the role of fear. So this is something that comes up a lot, especially given the fact that most of the people that I work with are women that have anxiety. So and anxiety often has that underlying fear. And so that is one of the things that is a little bit more challenging when we are dealing with that fear because of that anxiety. What's going to happen next? How are we going to be able to get around it? That kind of thing. And so one of the things that I often will tell people is to confront it, right? So like confront it, challenge it. So a lot of times the things that keep us within that anxiety, those feelings of anxiety, are oftentimes an irrational fear. And so when we can actually take a look at, like, how true is it? Is it really what it is that's going to happen? Is that really what's going to happen? How do we know that that's true? And just really challenging that opportunity of being able to do that. So when we actually use, so like when we take a look at fear as a survival mechanism. So when we're actually doing it as something that is really important, right? So everybody who steps up and does public speaking is always afraid, right? Your heart starts to beat really fast. You can, as you're getting closer, you start to get more short of breath. And like even people, and I've talked to many people who actually have been on huge stages, and even actors, like I've actually seen some news articles and things of where they actually say, I am extremely afraid of public speaking, but yet they're actors and they do this stuff all the time. And so it's just really important for us to be able to look at it that is a normal response. So when we're going to start talking to somebody about something, or we're going to be presenting, it's that fear of whatever it is that's going on. And I remember, and I had been doing different speeches and those kinds of things. But I remember when I was working for Red Cross, and I needed to go and do a presentation. We were invited to do a presentation. And so I was the person who was going to be presenting. And so when I showed up and it was to the firefighters in our community. And when I showed up, I'm thinking, okay, like it's firefighters, like, so like we have a small community. So like we're going to have like 10, 15 people. I've spoken to like more people than that. Like that's not a big deal. I can do that. And then I showed up into the room and there was like 100 firefighters in the room because it was a regional one, but I didn't know that. And so when I walked into the room and saw how many people there was there, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And so it's just about being able to, is like, I could have just like not said anything, not done anything at all, and just like really struggled with being able to do that. But I knew my presentation, I knew the things that I needed to say. And so when I showed up, I looked around the room and I found one person that I knew. So that was very helpful that I was actually able to fixate on one person that I knew. And so then that's what I ended up doing so that I can get through the presentation. So I was talking to that person, and I would still kind of scan around the room just because I knew cognitively that I needed to still do that. So it didn't look like I was just staring at one person. But that's really what I did, was I fixated on the one person in the room that I knew that we've had other connections and we've done other things together. And so then it was like, okay, I can focus on that one particular person. And so that was really helpful to be able to do that. But it didn't minimize the fear that I had of doing that conversation or having that presentation. And so when we're facing challenges and that fear comes up, it's really important for us to be able to take a look at how can we take things to that next level, and like how can we take that plunge? How can we take things to that next to bring things into that next piece, right? So really important for us to be able to do that. So I am afraid of heights, but I was up on the roof a couple weeks ago with my son and my husband while we were doing some of the work on my son's roof. And so, But as I'm going up the ladder, I can manage to go up the ladder and come down the ladder. It's like taking those deep breaths and allowing myself to be able to come down, because I can still do that. And so when we were getting near the end, it was starting to get rainy, and it was starting to get more slippery. And so then I was like just kind of bum scooting around trying to do the things that I needed to do, because it's like a partial roof, it's not a full roof. And so my son's like, "Kay, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Kay, I'm just trying to get this finished because it's starting to rain." And so, and he can hear the anxiety. So he's like, "Okay, mom, like just, okay, you go back downstairs or back down, and like I'll finish up." But it was just that piece of just being able to like, okay, so this is what's going on. It's getting more slippery. I'm getting more fearful. But up until that point, I was able to continue to do all the things that I needed to do. And so it's about being able to embrace our vulnerability. And I think I talked about that. I think it was in day one, right? So like we have that piece of the dynamics of being able to get things going. And so it really is about our growth and our change, right? So one thing I will probably never get over is my fear of mice. Like I said, I can actually go up on the roof, even though I'm afraid of heights. I can climb up a ladder and I can climb back down a ladder, but I don't know that I'll ever get out of ever being afraid of mice. But like it's just, but again, that's not something that's part of a survival. I don't need to be in a situation where I need to adapt to the mice. I can just leave the room, right? So dead or alive, don't do anything with mice. Excuse me, but it's just really important for us to be able to take a look at how we look at fear, and what is it going to teach us, and how are we going to be able to get through the next part of things. And it's important for us to have fear, because it does allow us to be able to take things to that next level and reconnect with like being able to get past that, right? So starting a new job, like there's that fear that's there, but we don't not start a new job. We don't not get married because we're feeling afraid and nervous. And so like that fear is something that's really good. And so I have a fear exercise, a fear setting exercise that I want to be able to share with you. And so it's about being able to create a fear map. And so it is inspired by Tim Ferriss. And so it's all about mapping fears and confronting them and figuring out what your next steps are going to be. So I am going to, so if you're interested in that, send me a message at info@rolialair.ca and I will get that off to you. And but it really is being able to take a look at, what am I afraid of? Why am I afraid of that? Right? We might not know the why. So like don't stay stuck on the why, but like why am I afraid of that is sometimes helpful to be able to kind of get through that piece. Like, so if you ask me why am I afraid of mice, I have absolutely no idea. I just know that I am. Why am I afraid of heights? Because I might fall and break my leg. Mind you, I was on the ground walking when I literally broke my leg, right? So it's just about being able to figure out like where are things. And like I said, when I went to go do that presentation, it was like, oh my God, how am I going to be able to do this? And so then it was like, okay, so take some deep breaths, do the things. And so when I was talking to the firefighters later, they didn't even know that I had that fear. And so it was just, I was fearful. I didn't even know that that was something, because like I said, I've done presentations before, I've done these presentations before, and it was really not that big a deal until I saw how many people were there. And so it's just a matter of being able to like, what's that next step? How can I do this? And where are things going to be at? So on that note, I'm going to head off and I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and talk to you later. Bye for now.